Well, I don't think there's anything apart from organic type techniques, which is sustainable. We can't continue to use a load of energy to create nitrogen fertiliser when that energy is going to get increasingly expensive. We have to start to look after our soils better, which is fundamentally what organic farming is about. We have to look after our environment, otherwise we can't live within it. We can continue to use our resources faster than we can replenish them, but that way lies disaster for mankind. So there is no alternative but to go down a more sustainable route.
But everybody's been talking about land mass, more land mass will be needed. How about for organic? Would we therefore not need more land mass, even more land mass than they're actually talking about for conventional farming, or is this a...
If you look at the organic methods in the developing world, they're increasing food production quite dramatically, 2 or 3 times, because they're improving the soils, which is the most critical thing that we need to look after, enabling those soils to hold more moisture and more nutrients. In the developed world, where we're using loads and loads of chemicals and fertilizers and pesticides, yes, you are seeing yield reduction in arable systems and in some horticultural systems, but the opposite is the case in the developed world, and that's where we most need our food. So actually, yes, if we can feed the world using sustainable type methods, it will mean that we probably eat less meat, particularly grain-fed meats, because that's a huge utiliser of resource. But it can be done.
And there's a lot of talk about this EU legislation, obviously with the cut-off criteria, it's very much... Would this enable non-EU farmers to have an advantage over EU farming, should all these cut-off criteria go ahead?
I think whenever you up the legislation on a unilateral basis, whether that's in the UK or within Europe, you need to make sure that you're not importing the problem from elsewhere. And I think that we need to be clear about that. There is no point in importing the problem from elsewhere, and I'm even more concerned about the way pesticides are used in the developing world, where people don't have adequate protection and where you're getting big problems with poisonings in those countries than I am about the use within Europe, although I'm also concerned about that. So I think we need to get that balance right. That's not to say that we don't need to tighten up our regulations at this end, but we need to make sure that we're not importing the problem.